So I'm continuing on the repairs of the 453 Detroit Trojan wheel loader. I had some issues with it where I thought it was going to run away, but I was told maybe it was just running backwards because it wasn't idling well, but it was kind of like usable. I was using it at the time. It was just kind of sluggish, and I shut it down, and when I went to restart it, it ran really rough, and smoke was billowing out from around the air intake, and it was just all this white smoke coming out from around the air intake. I said, oh great, it's probably going to run away. So I pulled the emergency shutdown and the fuel shut off and shut it down. So I had made a previous video that explained kind of that I thought it was running away, and I thought maybe the blower seals were gone that lubricated the gears in the blower shaft because there was oil inside here. But now I'm thinking, okay, if it for some reason fired wrong and was running backwards when I went to restart it, maybe the oil I found inside the blower housing was just getting thrown up in there from the cylinder walls. Because if it was running backwards, it was drawing the air through the engine, and there's passages in there that it would have just sucked the oil from the cylinder walls into the blower. So I'm thinking that's maybe where that oil came from, if it did in fact run backwards, which I think it might have. I did a Google search, and it did come back and say a 453 Detroit will run backwards on occasion. And that's what a guy told me on the comments. He said, just reset your emergency shutdown and try it again. So that's where I'm at. I've cleaned this, gotten all the rust and stuff out of there, re-cleaned the gasket, put it all back together. I did not put the intake tube back on because it was badly rusted and I didn't want to suck any more rust through there. So I just put that little mesh on there to keep stuff out of there. And then that way, if it runs away or something, I can put a piece of steel or something directly over it. And that'll kill it too. I've got the emergency shutdown anyway. But so yeah, that's where I'm at. Now I'll explain in a minute what's going on now. But as I say, I was running it. It was usable. I was unloading some stuff and moving some stuff. It was sluggish. So I knew the transmission was low. So I went, filled the transmission. Now, it was idling, but it was sluggish. It wouldn't pick up fast. Detroit's supposed to, this always had a very fast recovery. You'd rev it up, it would immediately recover. It was a very, very stout, strong engine. The Detroits, they're supposed to, you rev them up, and then they immediately recover, and they just got a steady idle. And it's not doing that now. Now, in the past, I can try to show you what it's doing now. What I just got done doing now that I thought would fix it is the constant speed plunger and the idle plunger are inside of this housing. And I tried to make a video, but I screwed the video up, so I didn't get a video of me repairing it or trying to repair it. But there's a set of plungers inside of here that there's one inside of the other, and if they get rusty or if they freeze up, it won't idle. And I had that problem in the past, and I fixed it. I took it apart, oiled it up, freed them up, and it ran like a champ after that. Now, it was kind of doing the same thing now. Since I put it back together, it won't idle at all. I had it idling just a couple minutes ago. Then I revved it up a few times, and as soon as I let off, it died. So I'm thinking it's not necessarily these, although I did just take them apart and clean them and oil them, the constant speed and the idle speed plunger, and it did idle after that, so that's probably part of it. Now I'm wondering if it could be injectors, because it was kind of smoking a lot. I mean, these are manual linkage operated fuel injectors. It never had a problem before. I don't know why it could be injectors. And those are new fuel filters. Last time I had an issue, I just put those fuel filters on. It's got all 3 new fuel filters, primary, secondary, both primaries in the secondary. So yeah, I just got done cleaning and oiling the constant speed and the idle speed plunger inside the governor. So now it did idle a little bit. Now, I think the oil was down about a quart. I just topped that off too. Topped the antifreeze off. And it did idle for me for a little bit. But it's sluggish. It's not like it's supposed to be. It doesn't recover fast. It doesn't idle fast. It's very sluggish and it kind of smokes and bogs down. So now I'm kind of wondering if it's an injector issue or just gummy injectors or sticky on the little gear rack that goes into the injectors. I'll see if I can start it so you can kind of see what it's doing now. Because it never really used to smoke that much. Now it kind of smokes a little bit. Let's see how I can position this camera so you can see. Let's see if we'll start. That actually went pretty well. It was actually giving a lot of trouble, but I'm giving it about a quarter throttle. It's here, it's kind of bogging down like that. See that? I just let off and tried to get it to idle and it smoked like hell and bogged down. Shouldn't do that. The idle's too low. It shouldn't take that long to rev up either. When I mash the pedal down, it should immediately come up. It shouldn't hesitate like that. That's idling. I'm not on the pedal at all. But it's running awful slow for what this always used to run at a pretty high RPM at idle. I don't know. I'll probably let it run for a while tonight and see if it gets any better, just having the oil splash around inside the engine like. That might help it a little bit, because it only gets run, it doesn't get run, for an hours every day. It gets run here and there. So stuff probably gets, everything's got linkages in these things. Actually sounds a lot better than it was earlier. I could probably adjust that inside there. I'm going to let it run for a while and see if it gets better, because we'll see. It's definitely better than it was, so you didn't really get to see what it was doing. It was really sluggish, a lot of smoke, really burping and stuff. It wasn't idling properly. That's actually a lot better. That's more like it should be. In fact, that's pretty darn good. So I'm just gonna let it run a while and see if it gets any better. But I was wondering if gummy injectors, or like the rack that goes in and out of the injectors, that little gear, could mean that if that's like gummed up, it'll cause it to be very sluggish and smoke and stuff. Because maybe all I have to do is take the top cover off and pull the injectors and lubricate them, clean them and lubricate the rack on the injectors. So the injectors themselves, the rack, you know, ain't gonna freeze up, but the little gears that go inside the injectors, I guess those get stuck. So will it cause it to be sluggish if those are starting to get a little sticky? I don't know. But I'm going to let it run a while and run it and see. But that's what I was wondering, if it could be injectors and not just a governor issue. Okay, thanks for watching.